All right, let's start this off, y'all.
Hi, it's your Senator, Montgomery Bishops. You've probably heard people talking, saying a bunch of stuff that they made up about poison. Poison in the food, poison in the beverages, poison in the products, and the children's toys. Now they're talking about using other things to make stuff. Things that aren't poison. Here's the thing. If we were to take all the poison out of all the products, guess what's going to happen? You guessed it. Millions will be laid off, most of whom will probably die. But the worst part of all is the prices are going to go through the roof. Then you're really going to be kicking yourself. That's why I'm asking you to vote yet on issue 86. Keep the poison. Keep America. God bless.
Welcome to the Broke Otaku Podcast. I'm your host, AJ. With me is Marcus, a.k.a. Dick Flair.
Whoa, 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 whoa.
That's exactly what I was picturing. I pictured Dick Flair.
Spot on. I want that curse. That's side effect. I don't know. What would you call that when that happens every time?
A feature, a skill,
Yeah.
a learned, I don't know, ability.
She made me woo like I've never wooed before.
That would be a curse. So what's the curse? Every time you say Dick Flair to a person you hate, they do that?
No.
That's worse. I was thinking just anytime you hit that climax,
Every time you
that's your
boo.
reaction.
Oh God. Yeah. No, absolutely. But you said it was a curse, so I didn't know if you just bamf somebody with it in the middle of the street and then they just freaking put on their old face in front of everybody. I don't know. Man, I feel like that would get old really fast in the bedroom.
You would not have a girlfriend for very long.
And you would be getting divorced real soon.
Yeah, that too. And of course, Alan, a.k.a. Crocodile Dundee's Nuts.
That's not a dick. This is a dick. And me balls too. Foster's Australian for balls. Crocodile Dundee's nuts. You ever eat kangaroo meat? Didn't think so. It's gross. Don't do it.
Is kangaroo meat gross?
I imagine.
It's probably super. You probably can't even eat it. You've seen a kangaroo. Those things are so muscular.
Lean as hell, yeah.
It's got to be real
be
stringy. It's probably
You don't eat a
tough.
fucking kangaroo. Maybe the tail. The tail might be good. What about them feet though? Them big flappy feet.
You ain't eating those.
Maybe,
Did you ever see that
know.
video where that dude punched a kangaroo in the face?
I feel like there's probably multiple videos of dudes punching kangaroos in the face.
This one in particular, because the kangaroo was choking out a dog.
Yeah, no, I saw that one
Yeah.
a week ago.
He was choking out a dog, and this dude came and the kangaroo let the dog go and it ran away, and they were squaring up, and the
Yeah.
dude just socked the kangaroo in the face, and he shook back and
Yeah.
put his arms up. He was shocked that the dude punched him.
Yeah.
And then but apparently kangaroos are rats over there. They're just a nuisance. They're literally everywhere, consuming everything and destroying crops and just being a general pain. Squirrels here is kangaroos there.
I hope that
that sounds
somebody
awful.
that's not native to Australia went and visited, and just a bunch of weird shit like that happened to them, and then they left. So their whole perception of Australia is just a bunch of fucked up marsupials doing weird things. That's the goofiest thing I've ever heard. Dude, a kangaroo. I punched a
It's
kangaroo
the
in the
goofiest thing I've
face.
ever seen.
Yeah,
You
a
gotta
dude
watch
punched a
it. It's
kangaroo in the
funny.
face. Oh, you don't think that's goofy enough? Why? Because it was choking his dog out. What? Where am I?
Yeah,
Where am I?
right.
I
Well,
mean,
why?
they got those crazy fucked up spiders and stuff too. They got drop bears. I don't even know if
It's
that's a real
Bizarro
thing.
World,
If that's
man.
another. Yeah, that place is scary. I will never go there
Australia's
for any
on some
reason.
bullshit. I want to go, but damn.
I want to go,
do
but I don't
not
want to
wanna go.
experience
It's-
any of the horrible things there, like
It's
giant
like
ass
third
spiders.
from the bottom on my list of places I want to go.
I want to go, but don't show me a giant ass spider and don't make me punch a kangaroo in the face for choking out my dog. I guess my question is like, why would a kangaroo choke out a dog? Is it because it's like gonna eat it, or it just hates dogs?
I think they just suck, man. Like,
Yeah, I guess so.
there are certain animals, man. They just, who knows why they do what they do? Because I just look at a
They're
kangaroo.
the embodiment of chaotic evil, I think.
I just look at a kangaroo and it's like, what are you even?
Why are you, kangaroo?
Like,
Speaking of
just-
kangaroos, that was one of the little, wasn't that one of the animals on Heaven's Design Team?
was it?
I feel like it
don't-
was.
I can't remember if it was or
I
not.
feel like it
I
was or
think
it
they
should have
did-
been.
I think they talked about pockets.
Pockets was the
Yeah, okay,
otter.
maybe I'm
That was a
confused.
sea otter. Anyway, we could talk about that later in our discussion on the Heavens Design Team. But speaking of animals,
design boo.
speaking of animals, we've got a game, don't we?
Speaking of animals, I made a game about some creatures. They're not really animals. They might be monsters. They might be extinct. Who knows?
What is a monster, really?
We're about to find out.
What is a monster but an animal of the imagination?
So this game is called Signify by, what did you say? What dumb
Don't
shit
worry
did
about
you just
it.
say?
Just keep going.
I can tell you said some dumb shit. I shouldn't hear it.
Yes,
Man, it was
you can
brilliant.
hear it later.
AJ's a hater.
Go ahead with the game.
So, inspired by the show that we watched this week, Heaven's Design Team, aka Tenchi Sozo Design Boo.
Boo.
This game is called Take It Ends, or whatever he says when God accepts an animal in heaven. We'll explain all that later. What's gonna happen is I'm gonna give you guys some criteria. You guys are gonna be the designers. I'm gonna be the client. I'm gonna give you some criteria, and you're gonna give me an animal that meets that criteria, and then after you guess correctly, I'm gonna change it a little bit. So it's gonna be like a series of things, and you eventually get to the correct answer, the final product, after the client switches everything up 10 times. Does it sound like fun?
No.
Yeah.
You're right. It's gonna be awful. Let's go. This first thing is it's a dinosaur.
Is it a dinosaur?
It's a dinosaur. So thank you for.
All right, we
Is
got
it
it.
from the Cretaceous or Jurassic period?
God damn it.
Or the
it's a good thing
Pleistocene age?
I think it's Cretaceous. If you know, do you know dinosaurs that
Yeah,
well?
I
You have them
don't.
sorted in your brain by age.
That shit doesn't mean
By
anything
period?
to me.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. So here's the first criteria. It has 4 legs.
Okay.
Triceratops.
Saber-tooth
All right,
tiger.
that's good. Okay. Triceratops is good. I like the armor, but do more armor. The armor's cool, but do more of it.
Stegosaurus.
Okay. Cool. What else does Stegosaurus have?
Horns.
He got that club tail with spikes on it.
Which is it? He either has spikes or a club.
It's
no,
a club with
Stegosaurus
spikes.
has plates on its back. It has dorsal plates.
No, that's an
Stegosaurus-
armadillo.
And it doesn't have a club, it has spikes on its
That's what
tail.
I'm saying.
It doesn't
It's
have a club.
spike-
It's not a club.
with spikes.
It's not a club, it's just spikes.
It's got spikes.
Motherfucker, I'm gonna punch you.
It has spikes. It has spikes on its tail.
Yes.
If you put spikes on a club, it's a club with spikes.
This
I'm
is
a
the
digital-
AJ semantics game of insanity
I'm
that
gonna
is beginning
digital
right now.
smack you, dude.
This is where 20 minutes later I've said nothing and Marcus is ready to blow his brains out. AJ's just over there grinning like a maniac.
I'm a real
It's
life
happened
troll.
before. So Good job. Good job with the armor plates and the tail. But try how about a club instead of the spikes?
I don't know what that fucking dinosaur is called. I know what you're talking about, but I don't know what it's called.
That's why it's a game.
Armor.
Alex, I'm gonna
plate
say
dinosaur.
the. Oh shit! What's it called?
Come on.
It's not
don't you know this?
Stegosaurus. It's a
It's the other awesome one.
Ankylosaurus.
Ankylosaurus.
Did you
look
quick
it up?
Google that?
Hell yeah, dude.
You
Come
suck.
on.
I hate
No,
you.
I was gonna get
the
it.
only reason I googled it is because I knew exactly what you were talking about, but I had no idea what it was called. I've never heard the
What
name
did you
of it.
Google? You didn't know the name of it. What did you do?
I put in armor plate dinosaur, and it was the exact one that I thought it was going to be that came up.
All right. Well, next time, remember the name. Bonus points.
Remember the name to something that you didn't know you was going to have to remember.
Yeah.
Remember everything.
Ankylosaurus.
Remember everything retroactively.
Take note of everything so you remember it for when you need it. All right. Bonus points. We want it to have a snappy name. So if you guys can give me the dinosaur that sounds like a famous TV personality, the name that is. It's newer. I just found out about this guy like a year or two ago from a kid's book.
Sounds
It's
like
a guy's name or a
famous person.
dinosaur's name?
It's the name of the dinosaur, but it sounds like a TV personality. You know how like what's his name? George Lopez is always like, I'm TV's George Lopez.
Yeah.
Who's that
This
one
is
guy
a-
that's always like, I don't even know what he's always like.
What's his name? It might be the name of his
The
dinosaur.
guy's always like on TV and stuff.
Seagrin, Seagrass.
Oh, Ryan Seacrest.
Seacrest, that dude. Is it a
He did.
Seacrestosaurus?
That's actually a pretty good guess. I figured you guys would know this, but there's a dinosaur called Edmontonia.
Edmontonia.
Edmontonia. It's
Huh.
one word.
That sounds like
Maybe
a name.
it's discovered. Maybe his bones were discovered in like Edmonton or something. Or
Man,
it's
they
probably
keep changing dinosaurs, dude. Like,
Hold
make up your mind.
Who's the personality?
It's
I
he
just
said
like,
it
I just
sounds
feel
like
like
one.
Edmontonia sounds like the name of like a TV personality or
I
something.
thought
Like I'm
you were
TV's
talking about
Edmontonia.
somebody specifically.
No, he
No,
just said
I
it
was trying to
sounded
help
like
you get to
one.
the silly name. I'm sorry.
Well,
This
we
game's
never would have
terrible.
got there because we don't watch kids shows about dinosaurs.
It's not a kid's show. It's in a book, man. Open up a damn book
No,
about dinosaurs.
they keep changing those books. Dinosaurs
Yeah,
need
they
to
keep
stay the
changing them.
same.
They don't say saurus anymore because they're not lizards. They're more like birds. And
Yeah, they got feathers and shit.
They don't say
they got
Saurus
crazy
anymore?
names like
no.
they got crazy names like
What?
Constagnathus,
How you not
Dude,
gonna say
bird-
Saurus?
Dinosaurs have feathers. They're birds.
Trudon.
They're like chickens.
Wait,
like,
Marcus, you didn't know?
Hell no, I don't have kids. I don't know any of this shit.
You don't have to know. You don't have to have
It's
kids,
a
but
science,
Why
dude.
the fuck would I be looking up dinosaurs if I don't have a kid?
Because it's interesting.
because it's important to check in on your
There are
your childhood
two
interests
Kinds of
once in a
people in the
while.
world. People with kids and people that don't know about dinosaurs.
Jurassic Park was all bullshit. Is
Fair.
basically what it's coming down to.
Well, they just yeah.
The T-Rex was a giant chicken.
So what do they call the Tyrannosaurus Rex now?
I mean, he's still T-Rex, but like the new ones they discover have like crazy
pterodactyl
names.
wasn't a thing. I don't think. What was the other one
yeah.
that?
I thought y'all were
Brachiosaurus
saying they
wasn't a
like
thing.
went back and changed the name of all of the previously discovered dinosaurs so they didn't have
Well, some of
saurs.
them they were like, "Oh, that's not right. That's not a dinosaur anymore." Like
Yeah, they've done a lot of-
Brontosaurus, he
done
don't
a lot of
exist
editing.
anymore.
Brontosaurus don't exist anymore?
I don't think so.
What?
Isn't that Allosaurus or
Allosaurus might be a
Apatosaurus?
thing, yeah, but like Velociraptors were like very small.
Yeah,
they
they're
weren't
like
like
chickens.
man size. They were like chicken size.
Yeah, so like Jurassic Park is bullshit. That the big old like eat your face velociraptors, not a thing.
Why they think they was
Not a thing.
big though?
I don't know.
I forget.
They weren't raptors, maybe. Maybe there was some other breed of chicken, dinosaur, bird.
Here's
thing.
the thing. We don't know shit. We ain't never
We
gonna
don't know shit. You're right.
It's true.
If time
We never
travel
will.
was possible, which AJ and I talked before, it's probably not. you would go back in time
Unlikely.
and you'd be like, oh, this ain't like nothing in the
We had it all wrong.
yeah, like this ain't the history book.
Y'all are way off. There's
This
no
is all
birds. There's no. Or it's all birds and fish, and that's it. And,
All right.
like alligators.
Speaking of shit that's all wrong that we don't know that we got wrong from the very beginning, the next one, the next animal, we want more flying animals,
Bird.
but no feathers, no feathers.
Flying squirrel.
Okay, that's pretty good. But can you give it like?
They don't really. They just glide.
Hey, fuck you.
I guess most birds just glide. Actually.
But no, less gliding, more flapping, more wings.
A flappy animal without wings, without feathers.
Is it a
Yeah.
bat?
Yeah, bat. Bat would be a good one.
Oh, bat's good. Yeah, okay. Let's do bat. But let's make it out of stone and make it not move.
A rock?
Gargoyle?
Marcus, a gargoyle is correct.
What the fuck?
Wow.
Oh my
This
god.
game's fun. It's stupid and it's fun and it's dumb and it's silly. It's fun. All right, here's the last one. Marcus is well, Marcus, you have 0 points now because you got -1 for cheating the answer to
Man,
Ankylosaurus.
whatever, dude. Expecting me to
cheated.
know
You
that
fucking
obscure ass.
shamelessly cheated.
Dude, you only learned
Like, I'm
about
not
like the
looking right at your
5
face.
basic dinosaurs in science in elementary school.
Basic bitch dinosaur.
I
Okay,
don't
if you're-
remember any other special shit.
No, Ankylosaurus is one of the 5 that you need to remember,
No,
or we can't
no.
be friends.
T-Rex, Stegosaurus, Triceratops,
Yeah.
Brontosaurus,
You still
which don't
got 2 more
exist
slots,
anymore,
bro.
apparently. And then
Brontosaurus is out, man. You gotta swap that slot.
fucking, did I say T-Rex already?
Yeah, you did.
Oh,
You don't even have 5.
Raptor. Bam.
Raptor.
That's the 5 basic bitch dinosaurs.
That's the first dinosaur test that everyone takes when they're 3 years old.
You watch that claymation of a T-Rex fighting a Stegosaurus, and it's like lava everywhere. You remember that?
No.
Anybody?
I feel like I can see it in my mind. when
No.
you
I mean, it
describe
sounds
so
awesome. Don't
probably
get
did.
Don't get me wrong.
It was awesome when I was like 7.
There's probably more than one of those too.
That was before Jurassic Park.
Are you thinking of Primal Rage? That
That game
No.
was
Sword
sick,
fighting
dude.
game?
That does
That
sound
game
like
was
I
sick.
am.
You would get worshipers. It was like a fucking blasphemous
that
game.
was crazy.
That was
game was
cool. That
Cuckoo
game
bananas.
exists.
Yeah.
They need to bring that back.
It was a
Primal Rage.
dope game.
You know, now that you say it, I thought they were going to.
Nah.
I thought,
Dude, there were
no,
so many
they were.
whack ass fighting games back
No,
then.
They were. I think they were.
Primal
gonna
Rage
bring it
wasn't
back.
whack, but
Primal
there were
Rage
some
wasn't
shit
whack.
fighting games.
There were a lot of shit fighting games, but every once in a while you would get one like Primal Rage that was fucking awesome. Bloody Roar was fucking dope too. That was
Forgot about Bloody
that was
Roar.
after
Never got
Primal
into Bloody
Rage,
Roar, but I remember
Bloody Roar was
hearing
dope.
good things.
You remember
Um,
Mace? Mace on Nintendo 64 is a 3D
Oh,
fighter.
shit.
Mace the Dark Age.
I
Mace, that
forgot
game was
about
fun.
Mace. I used to love that in the arcade.
That was a good ass game.
That
yeah.
game had
War,
some
War Gods? You remember War Gods?
Oh,
kill you and I take your power.
yeah.
That game was
War
awful.
Gods was yeah, it was good bad.
I'm sure
It was
aged
actually
terribly.
like a solid fighting game. Like it worked, but it was also like really cringe and
it was fun.
yeah.
Good times. Anyway.
All right, last round. You guys are tied at 0. So we want you to do more water creatures. We need more creatures in the water. So say the thing
Sharky.
that's obvious,
Fish.
and then we'll get going. Okay, fish. Yeah, but not a fish. Do like a
whale.
like a mammal, like
Whale.
mammal in the water.
Dolphin. Dolphin.
Are whale? I know whales are mammals. Are dolphins mammals?
Yes.
Whoa.
Okay, it's not a dolphin.
Okay, dolphin's good though, but like, can you make it cuter? Like,
Ooh, a
give it a
beluga.
little bit of fur, maybe.
Those aren't cute. Those are ugly.
Belugas are cute. Shut up.
A sea otter.
Sea otter, that's pretty good. Yeah, can you make it?
Is it bigger than that?
Can you make it bigger?
What
Can you
about
make it a little bigger?
What about a seal?
That's pretty good.
Well,
A little bigger though. A little bigger.
Sea lion?
What about giant sloth?
Those aren't. No.
They fall in the water.
Sea lion.
Rejected. Sea lion, that's good. Little bigger though.
Elephant seal.
Oh, manatee.
Oh, that's good. But can you? Manatee's good. Can you give it something like a cool thing, like
Walrus
teeth or something, or tooth?
Oh, yeah.
What'd
How
you
about
say,
you put
Marcus?
Walrus.
Yeah, you got it with a walrus. You win.
Oh, damn it! I thought I was gonna say I'll put the tooth on its head, and then
Make it a narwhal. That would have been a good.
Narwhal is like a
good
whale
answer,
though,
too.
and it doesn't have
Whatever.
fur.
Yeah. So you would have been
Walruses
rejected with that
have fur.
shit design that didn't follow the client's criteria. You're kicked out.
I
Of,
would have got accepted in addition to.
you get to be Uranus.
How
Sean.
come there's like 3 species of seals that are named after other animals? You got sea lion, you got leopard seal, and you got elephant seal. It's like,
Cause man, they didn't reach the ocean biome yet when they named all these animals, and they were like, "That looks like a leopard, but it's
Yeah.
a seal."
It's
leopard
becomes
seal.
self-sustaining? It's a perpetual motion.
leopard
machine,
seal makes sense
everybody.
because they're dappled, so at least that. Elephant seal, I guess it makes sense because the male's noses are all fucked up. But like a sea lion, what the hell is that? It ain't got no mane.
It's a lion of the sea.
That's
I don't
dumb.
know. I wasn't there when they named it.
I got nothing.
You should have been.
Maybe it's a poor translation from another word.
All right, should we talk about the show?
We
Did we
should
watch-
talk about the show.
That's the game. Marcus wins by 1 point. You guys are terrible people.
Transition music. Transition music. Use it to transition. 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 Music. We watched a little show that was a follow-up from our winter 2021 Anime Smorgas-Borg. If you didn't catch that episode of the second worst podcast of all time, go check that out, where we talk about a variety of different animes, including this one, which is Heaven's Design Team. Tenchi Sozo Design Boo. Is Boo team in Japanese really? Like, come on.
I don't know if it's a direct translation, but that's basically the summation of it.
Heaven's Design Team. Let me sum this show up for you guys. So, God has gotten tired of creating animals, so he's outsourced it to the design team. That's basically what the intro says.
It says it funnier.
So he'll send a set of like simple requirements, like the animal has to be cute but not, or make more stripy animals. And then you start like seeing the design team like break down different criterias and attempt to design animals that you thought you knew. And so they'll come out with something that's like a deer but with like really long legs. And then they explain using science why this creature can't function with this design. And they go through several iterations of the design until they finally land on one that is the animal that you know, possibly, and recognize. And it really is a really cool and very educational show. It's like if Zoobly Zoo were an anime for adults. So there's a lot of facts that you can get from this show that maybe you didn't know. In fact, I've probably learned more from this show than I guarantee you I've learned actual facts from this show more than any other anime, possibly more than any other show I've ever watched. And it's
really?
Yeah. At least about animals. I mean,
You've never watched like National Geographic or like
but even
anything
National
on PBS?
Geographic is like, this episode's about cats. The cat will crouch down behind some trees and jump out and attack.
That's a fact.
It's a fact, yeah, but like,
You don't watch Shark Week? How they promote it and they're all like, sharks are fucking evil, and then you watch Shark Week and there's a bunch of nerds like, actually, sharks are misunderstood, and it's
Shark,
like, well,
the
why
most
the
misunderstood
fuck
of
did
all
you
animals.
spend all this time telling me they're so evil to get me to watch it, just so a bunch of
To get you to
biologists can be
watch it.
like,
To
yeah,
get you to
no.
watch.
I
Sharks,
don't even
watch
watch
a
Shark
shark
Week.
bite a dude's leg off.
That's in the commercial.
Yeah. We can't show it on TV. You can only watch it on Shark Week.
And then it's just a bunch of dudes in a boat looking at charts.
Hey, I think there's a shark over. No, that's not a shark. Oh, it's over there. No, it's not over there.
Shark Week sucks.
Seriously, like I try to watch those shows. It's so disappointing because it's like they lead you on for 45 minutes, and then there's like 3 seconds of shark footage. Like, wow, that was the most majestic thing I've ever seen in my life. That really was worth all the effort. It's like it was not worth the effort to watch this show to see 3 seconds of shark footage.
But you never watch like the David Attenborough docuseries?
I mean,
or
yeah,
anything
but
like
like this show tells things in a very unique way. It's unique in that like several times, and maybe I'm just gullible, several times they're like going down this path and I'm like, oh, they're just going to come up with some crazy made up animal or something. And like they do that once or twice, like when they're working with the hell guy to design something for hell. But then you're like, oh wow, they turn it around and everything like is just back to normal, or they come up with a normal animal and you're like, oh wow, I did not know that koala bears just eat shit all day. And
All right, so AJ, you're basically saying this is the most informational animal show that you've ever watched in your life. Like more so than shit that you watched in science class or things you watched with your parents back when you were young and cared about science. I mean, maybe that was just me. I used to be watching shit with my dad.
It's definitely the most unique, and I think the way that they present the facts are the most interesting I've ever watched. Like I've watched animal documentaries and you learn stuff, but like the way they present these things, I tend to retain it a little bit better than I do just watching a cat prowl, ready to pounce upon this antelope. But the antelope lives to fight another day.
A lot of the animal documentaries is about the footage as much as the information. But no, this show is densely packed. I actually it's not a good show to binge watch, I discovered, because I still had like 8 episodes to watch as of last night. And and I realized like and each one is split into 2 like halves basically. So I'm just like,
right.
I
man,
feel like some of them are split into like 3.
Why does this feel like it's taking forever? Because everything's really densely packed. Like there's a lot of information, and there aren't really like breaks. There's not like an action scene where you get to admire the animation. Kind of, it's just like, here's some more information, here's some more dialogue, and here's some more information, and it's always interesting, but it requires more focus, I think, than like your average anime.
It's very text heavy, and I even found myself sometimes like unable to keep up with the subtitles because you're trying to process what they're saying, but they're going by really fast, and it's like, okay, wait, pause that because I missed what he said. I gotta go back 10 seconds and read that again. And maybe I'm just a slow reader.
No, I was back arrowing a whole lot.
Yeah, it was somewhat difficult to keep up with in some cases, just because of the amount of talking, which is a shame because like I would show this show to my kids, and there were a few scenes that I did, but I don't think, like, my kids are still young, they would not be able to keep up with the subtitles. And if it comes out dubbed, I probably would show it to them. There's a few aspects where I'm not like, that lady's cleavage is a little bit much, but I
actually thought like this is a show that we talked about this when we did the Smorgasbord. We're like, if somebody's never seen anime before, like you should should and also shouldn't show them the show. It's a show that like people who don't watch anime would probably enjoy, but it's not really representative of like anime as a whole. But
It
so I
represents
tried-
the wacky ideas behind anime. But it's also, I've never seen a show like this before. So
Yeah,
it's
But
very
she,
unique.
I thought my wife would enjoy it, but like even in this show, like the fan service was just too much.
yeah. Yeah, it's just a little too much for the
It's a little
kids and the
much.
wives sometimes. But overall, I really this is honestly like, I'll give my quick review. Actually, let's hear from Marcus first. He hasn't said much, and then we'll give reviews towards the end.
What are we hearing from me? Like we
Your
just
Tell us
kind
how
of
you felt about the show.
we just been talking about it. I didn't know if we were giving opinions yet.
Marcus
Well,
has opinions.
I always have opinions. Man. I'll say one thing that stood out to me about the show that I like. If you listen to the Anime Smorgasborg episode, you already know that we all like this show, which is the reason why we're going back and talking about it, because we all wanted to watch the whole thing. However, for whatever reason, if it wasn't for the podcast, I don't know if either any of us would have gone back and watched it. Just
I
like
did.
too
I
much
had
other
already
stuff
gone.
going on.
I was already a few episodes in when we decided to do the whole season.
Okay.
So I went
Well,
back.
maybe that was just me. But I'm glad that we decided to talk about it because it made me sit down and watch the rest. I like it. It's really cool. One thing that I like a whole lot about it is I am a graphic designer by trade. That is what I do to put bread on the table. And cocaine on the glass. No, just kidding.
Why don't you just design some bread on the table? Why don't you just design the bread to be part of the table? Design a table that makes bread.
Are you done?
Yep.
Okay.
Sorry.
So, but one of the awesome things about the show is I love the depiction of God, and by depiction I really mean how he acts, because you don't see him. He's just the disembodied voice above the clouds that ever so often interacts with the characters. But he is the client of Heaven's design team, and like AJ was saying, he gives them these requests that are always really vague, and he's the funniest incarnation of the worst of climates. Like just in dealing with people that have hired you to do a task and they just don't get it. They just don't understand. So three things that this show did that hit incredibly close to home for me was, I forget what the episode number was, but it was one where God was being particularly cantankerous for the group. And he said, hey, just do this thing. So they come up with the design for an animal, and then they submit it, and then God gives them more information. And then I think Vinchan, that character, says, like, under her breath, like, why didn't you just tell me everything up front? And I just throw my hands out to the screen like,
Well,
yes.
So they make
That's
a really,
real life.
They make a really good joke out of that too, because at one point a guy from hell shows up and he's very forthcoming with details about what he wants. Like he has like his own little doodle
Yes.
of what he wants. He asks them to design the Cerberus to guard the gates of hell. And he's like,
Yes.
it should be this, and here's a little drawing that I did. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't mean to impose on my, on the artistic vision. And they're like, no, it's just so nice to have details. So that was a really funny moment.
an actual like thought out idea. They can't execute it, but they know kind of the region that what they want, and then at the same time being fine with your creative liberties that you use to expand upon that idea or what have you. So that was awesome. That hit me like right in the heart. And then there was another episode where the this Lolita fashionista girl that goes by the name Pluto. All of the designers are named after planets, by the way. She's kind of freaking out because
Pluto's
she's
not a planet. Sorry.
celestial body.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll call it a classical planet. I don't even know if that's real. Whatever. It's a dwarf planet. But she's freaking out because she had submitted an idea and hadn't heard back for days. And part of the main reason she was freaking out is because she's like, for some reason, he acted like there was a rush on it. But I guess there wasn't, because I still haven't heard anything back. And she's just sipping her tea, trying to keep her composure. And I'm like, that's real life too. I live that every day. Now. We need it now. We need it now. We need it now for this review or this benchmark or whatever. And then it's like literally last year, there was a project that we were super run and gun on, and we didn't hear back about it for 3 months. That happened in real life. So that hit me in the heart. And then there was another character, I can't remember who it was, who was freaking out because they were just getting like feedback after feedback, more feedback, so many iterations they had done. And then finally finished the project, and one of the other designers asked him, like, you know, how it went. And he's like, at this point, like, I just gave up and submitted things. And of course, he chose the option that I hated the most. Like the one that I just like gave up and was just like, all right, like we got to show him 3 things here. And then it's just like, ooh, that's the one. And it's just like, that happens all the time too in design. Happens all the time. You're like, here's the option where like that we would recommend. It like hits all of the points in the brief. It's doing everything correctly. It's well thought out. Here's another alt, because sometimes you got to do an alt just to express, just to try to get a different angle at solving the problem, whatever the design problem is. And then there's just like a third one, and it's usually just some bullshit because, like, I don't know, just trying to throw something up on the wall because we're just not getting it yet. And then they're like, that's the good one. And it's just like, yeah. So this show, it burrowed a special place in my heart, like, for that reason. It was already doing it with so many of the other things. Like, it's so fun. I don't typically like super happy, super cute slice of life stuff, but the premise of this and the execution of this was done so well that it just made me love this show. And I'm like, oh, this is why people like to watch anime that doesn't have like fighting and violence, or it's like a twisted story. It's like, because it just kind of feels good. I didn't understand that before this show. I'm like, why would you want to watch some old boring shit about some girls in middle school that like are just doing middle school shit? Like, that don't sound fun. It's like, oh, because it just feels good. Granted, I still kind of think stuff like that is boring. This hooked me in because it's like a bunch of people, a bunch of ethereal beings are just designing animals for God. It's just a cool premise. And then, like AJ said, it's actually educational. When we first started watching the show, I thought they were going to make fantastical animals. I thought that we were going to like see the origin stories of all the mythological creatures like Loch Ness and dragons and unicorns and all that stuff. But right out the gate, they just they debunked that. They're like, here's why these animals wouldn't work. And so it actually leads you somewhere, and then you get to play a fun game because you get to start to try to guess what animal they're gonna end up making, based on all of the functionality that they need. And then it's cool too because they end up building a thing that is as complex as an animal that has to work from the shittiest direction. Like, I want an animal that is cute and spiky. What? What does that even mean? And then they do it.
Did they land? Where did they land with that one?
I think
that was actually one
of the last
that
episodes.
That was actually one where the episode kind of veered, and it just ended up turning into a completely different animal. And so they just used another animal for being spiky or something. I don't know. it's weird.
It was fluffy and spiky.
Maybe that was it.
Yeah, I don't think
I
they ever
think.
resolved that because it was kind of in the midst of some other like
Yeah.
plot, if you can call it plot, that was happening. But
Yeah.
Well, the funny thing with that, they had as an example. Did you ever see the show Enchanted? I think it's called Enchanted. It was from Matt Groening. It was on Netflix.
Disenchanted.
Disenchanted. Sorry. Yes.
I only watched the
they had
first
that
episode
little-
of it.
Yeah, it had that like little demon-looking character
Mhm.
who like followed her around, and that was kind of the design for what like Hell wanted for like a little like mascot type thing. And they took that design and basically turned it into a bunny rabbit. Because
Yeah.
the one guy, I think it was Neptune, he just
Mhm.
likes all the cute things,
Yep.
so he makes everything adorable. And it's just hilarious seeing like, oh, that's basically the bone structure of a rabbit, and rabbits are kind of gross too because they eat their own poop. And there's a lot of things that eat their own poop and poop a lot.
yeah, the
Um,
show talks about poop a lot because I mean it's important. It's an important part of biological processes. They get to the one of the guys. He's like the senior member. His name is Saturn, and he's really his masterpiece. They all have like a masterpiece that they did. His masterpiece is the horse. So in the early episodes, he's always trying to like do some kind of variation on the horse. So they do like a stripy horse thing, and that's how they end up with a zebra. But at one point, they're trying to make the horse fly. So the horse design, the regular vanilla horse, has already been accepted. And every time an animal gets accepted, there's like they have like this liaison guy, Shimoda, and like he's super friendly and like lovable.
He's an angel. A literal angel.
Yeah, he's an angel. But it's like they get to a point in the design process, and then like lightning strikes him in the head, and his eyes go white, and he says, "Tenkadens" or whatever. He says, "God has spoken," and then they do this little sequence where they show the animal, and he goes, "Oh," and it has like the stamp of approval, and they tell you the name of it. But so he's trying to make the horse fly, and they go through all these, like factual scientific stuff about like, well, if it's that heavy, its wings would need to be super strong to fly, and that's going to burn a lot of energy, so it would have to eat a ton of food, and then it would have to poop all the time. So then they have this like image of this like big muscular horse with these wings flying through the air, just spraying poop out of its butt. And that's the magic that only this show can give you. And it's just this like bouncing back and forth between like scientific like rationale and like how like biology works and why animals are the way they are or why they evolved to how they are, and with this like fantastical like, oh, I want to give it, I want it to have wings and shoot like talons from its legs. It's like, well, you can't do that because X, Y, and Z. And yeah, it's kind of formulaic, but it never gets boring. Like they always found like new things to do with it. And it's just interesting, like even if it's the same thing over and over again, like what animal is it going to be this time?
Another thing I found interesting about the show is that I don't really understand existence in the show, which I kind of like. I think it fits the absurdity of the whole thing because
Yeah.
they're creating
It's
these.
all in heaven and hell.
It's heaven and hell, but then there's Earth because they have to make the animals. But they don't ever really go to Earth proper because
No.
anytime they test the animals, they just go to the Galapagos, which is basically their testing ground that Mars, the engineer, she can manipulate to like make any sort of biome she needs. So I don't know if like the real life Galapagos has crazy varying weather or what, but that's it. So you have heaven, you have hell, and then the Galapagos, but Saturn has a grandson. So
Oh yeah.
how's that work?
Oh
and
right.
then-
I didn't even think about that.
and
I didn't question that
then
for a second.
They go on vacation sometimes, and then they have like allusions to like going home and grooming themselves at home, or somebody went to like a fireworks show. And it's like, when and where does this show take place? Like, since they're still making animals, you would think in your head it would be still the beginning of existence from a creationist standpoint.
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't. And then it's like all of the designers are named after planets, but they're not angels like Shimoda and Ueda. Ueda is Shimoda's supervisor. So it's like, are they immortal too? There's so many questions. Like, I don't understand. And it's not even that I'm mad about it. It actually makes me kind of like the show more because it makes me laugh to think about how it doesn't really make any sense. But the show is that's kind of the point. It's
I never questioned any of that. I was just like, oh yeah, he's got a grandson. I never took it to that next step of like, but what are they and how are they and who are they?
Yeah.
Well, it's one of those shows where you don't necessarily feel like you need those questions answered. Like,
Yeah, I
it's
definitely
just the
didn't.
way it is. Like, these are just, they're designers, they're designing animals. Animals go to the Galapagos to be tested. And from there, once they're approved, who cares what happens? On to the next shtick, which is the show. Like, they just keep getting new assignments over and over. And that's the loop of it, and it's predictable. You know exactly how it's going to work, but again, like Marcus mentioned, it becomes this guessing game of what animal are they going to land on when they talk about, something that loves seafood, that's furry and cute and lives in the ocean. How does that become a thing? But this is one of those shows. Go ahead.
I was gonna say there's like running gags too. So like the horse thing is kind of a running gag in the beginning, and then later on, I think it's Jupiter. He's always designing like crustaceans. So like he makes a lobster and crab and shrimp, and like the thing is that they're tasty, and like he's always trying to make like the tastiest animal ever. He's always working on the flavor.
He's in search
balance.
of the perfect umami.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought up the grandson too, because one of the best sequences is like they have a drawing from this guy's grandson, and they want to design the creature that he drew, and it's like a crayon drawing, and like so what they start with kind of looks like the classic green spaceman alien. Like he's got the the almond shaped eyes. And he's just kind of creepy looking, and the whole time Shimoda, the angel guy, is like freaking out, like, this thing is so creepy, like what's a kid gonna want anything to do with this? And slowly they start changing it, like they give it wings and they make it lighter, and they go through this whole thing with the ears, or they want it to hear everything, and like how its eyes work, and they end up with a fucking owl. So like the owl has the the big concave like eye area, and that's so it can hear. Apparently, like all the sound goes in, gets kind of cupped into its eyeballs, and its ears are off center, and its wings are or its feathers are ridged so it makes less sound. And I'm just like, this is amazing. I learned so much about an owl, and then they turned a friggin' alien into an owl slowly, step by step. And it's like,
well, and the whole time you're like, this is okay. They're gonna land on something that's made up, and it's gonna be something stupid, but they don't. Somehow they manage to be like, oh nope, here's an owl, and here's one of those big-eyed monkeys.
And then after that, they do a little bit, like it's a super like chibi style bit with like two characters talking about, like, it's the animated guide to creatures that actually exist. So they'll go into like greater detail about one of the animals that they covered. And it's just brilliant. It's just so good. What were we going to say, AJ, before I got into
not
my
even
thing?
No, it's fine. Not even just animal facts. Like, they explain like existence in a way. Like, why can't things be immortal? Like, we need something that regenerates an arm or a leg or something like that. Or why can't these things just live forever? And they explain, like, here is why. If something did not die or did not age, it would not survive. And and just little facts like that they'll throw into an episode. So it's not just like animal facts, like it's not just facts about one particular animal, it's all the little things like around it as well. Like you're just constantly fed like a ton of information. Like I watched the last two episodes right before we recorded, and like through the whole episode they're just throwing out all this stuff like, oh, I didn't know that, oh, I didn't know that, oh, I didn't know that, I didn't know that, and like 20 different things I didn't know in one episode. Like it's just constantly barraging you with new facts, and it's great. It's a show that you could watch again and learn something new each time you watch it, and it's something that you could, and I've never ever in my life shared an anime scene with my family ever, because anime is just not their thing most of the time, and most of the time it's not like cute or funny enough for everyone to appreciate it. But I did share the sea otter scene where was it Neptune who's designing the sea otter, and he's like all upset because they come down and he's like, he doesn't have the teeth to crack open the shells to eat the mussels and the clams that he needs to eat. And like he's like crying, and then the sea otter out of nowhere pulls a rock out of his pocket and holds it up, and he's like, he's so smart, he's so cute. And then you learn that sea otters crush shells open with rocks, and they keep rocks in little flesh pockets on their selves. That's just, these are animal facts. How did I not know that? I don't know. I never came across it, but now I do, and I'll never forget it. So I show that to my family, and now they know too, and it's awesome.
It's funny that you say that, because I shared that very same sequence, but not for education. My wife just loves otters. She basically loves them as much as Shimoda and Neptune love them. So
That's
the whole time they're
running
freaking out
gag.
like, he's so smart, he's so cute. She's just laughing because like she knows that's how she is. Like anytime she sees an otter, like if it's at the zoo or if it's like on TV or something, she just freaks out. She's like, oh, look at it. So yeah, it's funny that we both were inclined, even though for different reasons, to share that scene.
Yeah, and this is one of those shows, like there's certain things I would pick out. I'm looking forward to the dub just because I think it'll be a little easier to consume the facts, as long as it's not terrible.
Yeah,
and
I was
easier to share with my family and other people who can appreciate this thing.
Yeah, I can't wait for the dub either. Because I was really impressed with the translation. Like they even had like really good puns in there.
Yeah,
They did, yeah.
Which I was surprised, and just like, yeah, the way they explain these like complex like biological things.
The mole rat episode, I can't believe that was my favorite. That was so
Okay.
good.
it was a good
Yeah,
one.
I wanted to get to that too, because that was friggin' brilliant. They basically, so the angel Shimoda goes to this, like, the episode starts off, he's in this like foreign land, and he's talking. They're all humans, but they're part of a hive, and they're talking about the queen, not a hive, but like a nest, and this society that they're a part of, and there's a queen, and they're going, like, somebody's attacking, and they're sending some of them to die, and while they get eaten by the predators, the rest of them, other workers will seal the wall so that they can't all be eaten, and it ends up as just this big like metaphor for the naked mole rat. And then they explain everything that it does.
The brilliant
and
thing
how
is
that
like
works.
they had the swords that looked like mole rat teeth, and she's like cutting the walls and like, this is potato, we eat the potato, and it's like, okay, there's facts strewn in there that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on while you're watching it, but like after you know what it is, if you went back and watched it, you'd be like, oh, okay, that's why she did this, and this. And then they're like, oh, well, she gave her a vitamin supplement. What was that? Poop. Oh,
It was poop.
okay.
Yeah.
It was poop. But
Yeah, I
like
did
that
not
stuff,
pick up
like
on
I'm
the fact
watching
that
it and I'm like,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
I was just gonna say I didn't pick up on the fact that the sword was shaped like the teeth. I did notice that
No,
the
I
sword
didn't
looked
either.
weird. I did notice that.
It was a double-bladed sword.
It was a double-bladed sword.
I noticed that, but I didn't pick up on the fact that, like, oh, that's why. Interesting.
So So like
Yeah.
it's kind of like this anime thing where like they're all drawing swords and fighting each other, and then like someone slays the queen and becomes the new queen, and like so it's kind of like something you'd get from a more typical anime, but it's all for the sake of this like setup for the naked mole rat. And they do
Right,
it with
it's
another
like-
thing. They kind of have like a little anime style battle at one point, because they're talking about animals that compete to try and impress mates, and then so they have this little anime fight, but then right before that they had just had a rap battle, and so like the anime tropes are just kind of like another like thing in their bag of tricks when they're amidst like all the wackiness. So it's just fun. It's a lot of fun.
I could see this being one of my favorite shows for this year. When we get to the end of year retrospecticus, you can probably expect to see this in my top 3. Unless something great comes out. Several things great come out before then. Cuz this hit all the right notes. Like it was fun to watch. Like I was I looked forward to watching it. It was interesting. It was fun. It was funny. And I learned a lot. So it's definitely high on my list of recommendations for sure, and will more than likely be in my top 3 this year. Almost guaranteed. I haven't seen Mugen Train yet. That might be up there too. 2 more things would have to knock it off.
Possibly.
I don't know about that. We'll see.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't expect another show to kind of like hit me quite in the same way as this show. Like it doesn't have a lot of highs and lows. It's not like an emotional kind of thing where like there's this big epic storyline arc. It's just like it's smart, it's funny. It's don't binge watch it. Like I'm going to say it again, don't binge watch it. It's the kind of thing you watch like an episode or 2 a day. Just cuz it's like a real good like relaxing show. And you'll learn something and you'll feel smart and it feels like time well spent. Marcus, do you have negative things to say about the show? Don't say anything bad about the show.
No, the only
Don't
thing
you
that
do
I
it.
could say negative about the show you already did, which is that it's not a binge-worthy show.
It doesn't suck you in.
Well, and I mean, it's not even that. It's just the fact that it is so dense and it is based on so much of a formula that watching a whole bunch of it does a disservice to it, because it's like you're watching too much of it to just enjoy each episode for what's in that episode. You then become
it starts to feel like just a wave of sameness.
Right, exactly, because it is very constant. They're in heaven. There is no conflict. All of like the conflict that they do have is so lighthearted and goofy that it's not real drama. You're just seeing characters that you generally like. Like all of them are likable in one way or another. I have my favorites, but I like all of them, and it's just happy and fun. It really does kind of feel like they're all in heaven, just having a good time. And it's always like the sky always looks the same. There's no concept of time whatsoever, even though they talk about time, even though they go on lunch breaks and do all these things. You have no concept of any of that. On top of which, like you were saying, there's no highs and lows. It's also just consistently good throughout. So it's not.
I meant to say that if I didn't.
So I mean, you did, but not exactly in those words.
Right.
So I commend it for that. It's really impressive that a show that is so like formulaic can be so engaging for as long as it has been. But I think the most episodes I watched in a row or at one time was like 4, and it was like, that was only because I was trying to get it all in before we recorded this podcast.
Yeah. Same.
But yeah, perfect to watch 1 or 2 episodes at a time. It's only 12 episodes, so like it's not a daunting thing to ask, that you watch it 1 or 2 episodes at a time. But yeah, it's great. It's for what it is, it's pretty much perfect, honestly. And
yeah,
I'll be interested to see how this does fare in our retrospective because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, so far this is like number 1 for me. And it's so weird because this is not my wheelhouse at all.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think it's just that special kind of unique and
yeah. There's nothing
fun
else
and
like
consistent. Yeah, it's just there's nothing else like it, and it's gonna be hard. Like slice of life, like I've watched some slice of life before, and like it does have the peaks and valleys, the highs and lows, and some episodes are better than others. But like this one's just so, it almost feels like a show you would have watched as a kid. Like come home from school 4 o'clock, turn on Fox Kids, and boom, there's Heaven's Design Team telling you all about how animals eat poop. Like this is just the exact kind of show that you would get.
I mean, adapted correctly, like this could be like a really solid like kids educational thing too. Like obviously they took,
Right.
It's an anime, it's kind of meant for like teenagers and adults, but like the formula, the way they did it, like could definitely be applied to like, actual serious educational stuff.
It is kind of like a kid show.
Well, and
grown
that's
up. That's kind of what it is. Because I mean,
That's exactly what it
it's
is,
giving you these bits of actual information in a way that is the most digestible.
And yeah, and there's like there's like some very mild innuendo. But I wrote in my notes that they return to concepts, like they return to things that they mentioned in earlier episodes, like to help you learn it, because like that's how you learn things. It's like being reminded and covering it again and repetition. I'm just like, wow, I really appreciate the show like taking the time to teach me some things that I wouldn't have known. There were creatures that I didn't know about. I didn't know what a fucking rhizocephala thing was. God asked for a parasite something that invokes maternal instincts, and they ended up with this parasite that makes the crab think that it's baby when it's really not. And I'm just like, wow, it's amazing.
Yeah, nature's amazing, and this show makes you appreciate it. How things are, how the design of things actually work, and why they aren't the way they aren't, and why they are the way they are. And it's something like I never thought of it, and I appreciate you bringing up the design team aspects of it, Marcus. The fact that like designers go through those iterations the same way. Like I never really thought about that as being an aspect of the show, but that just makes me like it even more. But yeah, just seeing like the different design phases of animals and just understanding like this is how things are. This is why things are the way they are. Like it's not something that you would see even in like an educational show. Like if you're watching Discovery Channel or whatever, maybe not the current Discovery Channel. That's all like lumberjacks and Shark Week or whatever. But those those nature documentaries, they don't explain why. I mean, they'll explain why they do certain things, but the way this show approaches it, the fact that they're like, oh, why can't we do this design? Oh, here's exactly why you can't do this design and why it wouldn't work if they tried to do it this way. So, things, the intelligent design, if that's your thing, really shines in this show because of the way they break it down. So it makes it interesting.
One final note. The opening song is catchy as fuck. If you don't like it the first time,
yeah, we're supposed to talk about that.
You will love it by the third time you've heard it.
Yeah, the first time I heard it, I was just like, oh, what is this rainbow vomit fucking Candyland bullshit?
It's so good.
And then by the fourth, no, it was after. So I was like 4 or 5 episodes in, and then we were like, okay, let's finish it for the podcast. And then like I went a few days, I put it off for too long, so then I had to watch a bunch in the last 2 days. But when I came back to start that marathon, the song came out, and I was just like, "Na, na, 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 na," I was into it, and yeah, it's what I don't know what it is about anime OPs, but they grow on you.
Sometimes they're the best.
This one especially.
Yeah, this one I could tell you
Cutesy.
specifically for me, it's the drum line of the first verse. When everything settles down. If you listen to the song again, the drum line is actually dope. Like it's good. And then it just goes. The song goes through so many different moods. It has like a breakdown, and it has this part where they start talking really fast, and like the the girl's voice is all cute, and you're just like, man, this song fucking bangs.
Oh man, this is good. This is healthy anime podcasting, because we never thought we would watch a show like this.
We shit on a lot of shit, and I honestly, early today, I was just like, what's it going to be like to talk about a show that we all really liked? Are we going to have anything to say? 'Cause yeah, it just feels so good. What is it about? Why are humans like the worst animals? I was thinking about that too. Like what animal like enjoys like shitting on something? You know? Like takes joy in like, oh, this was so horrible, and like what are we?
Well,
Who
I mean,
designed
I
us?
don't know about other animals' opinions, but there's plenty of really appalling behavior all throughout the animal
No, there's
kingdom.
lots of shitty animals, but like,
But no, I would agree with you.
why is like hate more powerful than like love?
There's a
Often.
thing
Why are
called
koala bears the worst?
there's a thing called the negativity bias, where basically the theory goes, if it actually is the theory, that you don't pay attention to what works, you pay attention to what doesn't, because that's how you fix problems.
Yeah, that's true. If it really works, it's not.
Yeah.
Then you're not going to notice
Yeah.
it.
Which is, for me, the type of person that wonders about the nature of existence in this design team, and I want to know like where it's at. I like when I have problems with things, because I start thinking about the thing and I try to understand why I don't like it. And that gets my gears turning more than just liking a thing, because it's like, yeah, I love to geek out about stuff, but I don't have anything really complex to say about things that I like most of the time. But even more so than things I don't like, things that I like but have problems, I could talk about those the most. Like shows that it's like, I'm into this show, but let's get into why it's not as good as it could be. Like, those are my favorite things to talk about. But anyway,
I hear you. I feel you.
Any final thoughts?
third round of final thoughts.
Why this show's so good?
This show's so good. Go watch it
Yeah.
now. I don't know
Watch
why
the
the
show.
ratings aren't
I
through the
don't-
roof on this one. It's so good.
I don't care who you are, what you're into. Go watch it. If you're listening to this, wondering what could this show possibly be like? Just go watch it, and then you'll understand. Like, just watch 2 episodes, just 2. And even if you don't like it, you'll appreciate it, and you will respect their hustle and their achievement, and you will thank us. Go. Do it. That's all.
And with
Agreed.
that, Heaven's Design Team, Sayo!
Take it in!
That means it's accepted.
All right. With that, thanks for listening, everybody.
Do the spiel. Spiel us.
Here's the spiel. We're on the internet. At Broke Otaku is my Twitter account. I post the deals. At Broke Otaku Cast is the podcast Twitter account. Alan's running that. So
Let me
if
tell you
he
something.
posts something.
Let me tell you something. I've been linking the old episodes. Here's what I do. I Google Broke Otaku podcast, because I don't know how to actually get to the real core, the source. So I go on the internet, and it's all over the internet. There's like liner notes or something notes.com. And then there was another one. 2 different links I posted, 2 different sources. Whatever we're doing, it's out there. So like, just take your pick. Pick your favorite one. You like iTunes? We can't be friends, but go ahead. It's there too.
iTunes,
Yeah, it's
Spotify,
everywhere.
Google. It's Google.
You can
Play
also
still
go
a
to
thing?
podcast.brokeotaku.com. That's where it's at.
That's the one I forgot.
Yeah.
Wait, we're on
Yep.
Spotify? I can look us up on Spotify next to like real artists and
Yes, you
stuff?
can.
Whoa.
Sure can, buddy.
Can I find the worst anime podcast?
I'm sure if you look
Nope,
for
but
it.
you can find
on
the second
Spotify?
worst. You can find the second worst, and that's Broke Otaku Podcast. Check it out, because you already are. You're already listening to it. Just keep on doing that, and we'll appreciate it.
Second worst. That
Um,
means we're the second best at being the worst. That's called spin.
The second best worst. So do those things. YouTube, we're on that too. I finally caught up and uploaded all the episodes we had, except I need to do the most recent one, but that's different. We're good. Everybody check that out. Don't stop shaking your head, Margus.
You're doing it. You're doing beautiful, beautiful job.
Margus makes beautiful, I almost said clip art. Margus makes beautiful clip art with his buddy Clippy.
Marcus
for-
the
For every
designer.
episode. He cuts it,
He
pastes
takes
it.
his crayons and his construction paper and he snippy snips
He
and scribble
opens-
scrabbles.
He opens
and-
Microsoft Paint and PowerPoint.
And we don't pay him for it, but he does it anyway.
and he,
And he
makes
does it
beautiful
for you
clip
all.
art.
It's the most beautiful clip art. We keep telling him he should pursue it as a career.
He does word art too. He does the word art and the clip art together.
Wait,
and puts
words
it all
can't
in
be
Microsoft
art. What are
Paint.
you talking about?
That's the.
I'm
That's
sorry.
Anyway.
There's no art
this
in
is-
words. That's silly.
This has gone downhill
It's
fast.
just writing.
We will see you guys next time on the Rogue Otaku Podcast. Thanks for listening. Bye bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Oh, yeah.
Well.